Yeah, I'm coming with part 2 with my little interpretation. So one thing that I forgot, for example, that I already saw before but I didn't mention is like, look at how, for example, the image of the Christ has what looks like sun rays coming from this square, right? This light square, like golden square, like it represents the heart, right? It's in the heart area. So the rays are coming out, so there must be a sun underneath. If there's a sun underneath, there's a circular, star. It's circular. So by the same time you have a square. So it's the concept of squaring the circle. The concept of squaring the circle, in quick words, is it's uniting heaven and earth. So the circle represents the perfect geometric figure, the circle, right? It has no beginning and no end. The circle, so heaven, 360 degrees, right? Which equals to 9. 3 plus 6 equals 9. 3, 6, 9. We're going into the secret key to the universe that Nikola Tesla was talking about, right? And the square as well represents earth, right? Material reality, foundation, 4 corners. I'm a number 4, right? 4 as in the heart chakra. So it's interesting, is at the center here, heart energy. We can call it green light. We got a man with green bonnet and green clothing, but yeah. And here as well, we find the same thing at knee height, those sun rays coming out. I see them as sun rays. Listen, it's an interpretation, so, but I don't know. I feel like there's a sun underneath. I don't know. Do you see that? Like there's a circle. I see that. Much more here rather than here. But yeah, then again, like another thing that caught me is like, for example, I told you, like, if this represents the penis facing upwards, so power, right? So that would be like a pillar. How do you call it? My God. In ancient Kemet, too many information, like I'm sleeping on stuff that I should know off the top of my head, off the top of not the jet pillar, which represents the spine of Osiris, or the obelisk, bloody hell. Yeah, but it's not the proper name, the obelisk, but yeah, let's call it the obelisk, which represents Heru, represent Asar, resurrection, Aset mountain on the phallus of Asar, giving life to Horus, that consequently gives vengeance. So vengeance seems to be a theme. We're going back to the Kemetic mythology, which is a mythology, right? Mythology. And I heard that first time from Rod Hayes. Mythology, it's mythology. And I don't know how I slipped on that because I like to break down words. But yeah, I heard it the first time from Rod Hayes. Mythology is my theology, therefore our theology, ancient theology, of the ancient ones, ancient people, right? The founders of this. But yeah, anyway, so you look. So these represent the phallus upwards, so symbolic of power and regeneration, life itself. It's, in a sense, it's a symbol of the ankh, right? Well, you can see, what the ankh represents, like a phallus and the woman principle on top. But look at how she has her mouth open. If this is the penis that is erected, right, facing upwards, so at the bottom, what you will have is the genitalia part, where you find the actual sperm, which is responsible for, of course, procreation, right? But at the same time, as I saw in the book The Isis Paper, is responsible for the annihilation of a certain demographic of people. In this case, we're talking about, Caucasian people. I'm not saying this person is necessarily unrighteous, necessarily being Barabba, but I'm just interpreting like that off the top of my head. But he can be a righteous so-called Gentiles. But going back to her, so she's actually embracing, so she's absorbing that essence, to creating this reality Christ-like figure, and have that genetic, she has that genetic need to absorb, the black man essence, to carry forward, a certain specific bloodline, Christic lineage. I like to call it Christic lineage. Yeah, that's how it is. That's how I see it. She has a vase on top of her head, which is symbolic. I don't know. I would say symbolic of the Aquarian age at this time. So the woman pouring out this so-called water, this so-called electricity. Water is electricity, right? So water is information. Water is life. So she's carrying it like on top of her head, which is still symbolic of the sacred secretion when it reaches the crown. And as I showed you before, in the image of Christ, so he had a Merkaba, right? So symbolic of going beyond this reality. So we go back again to the concept of, uniting heaven and earth, squaring the circle, right? So yeah, she got that vase, right? She's carrying it. That's interesting because whichever way you see it, it's information being poured down in this Aquarian age, or it's her cup, right? Her holy grail. It's her holy grail being filled by the man, for example. Or you can see it, of course, as her own sacred fluid, right? The woman represents the fluid, right? Water, Yemanja energy, the heavy on Yemanja here in Salvador, or Oshun energy. And look at her, it looks like she's still pregnant, like, look at. So the third one is on the way. It's very interesting, right? So I'm sure it's deeper than that, so I'm giving you this now, but yeah, look at it. You can interpret it yourself. Yeah, this is a cactus, I think. That's a half pronounced swastika, right? Still an ancient symbol. We can say our symbol, as in indigenous symbol, right? Doesn't necessarily mean I was there. Doesn't mean necessarily that I did create it. Who created it, I don't know, but it's still ancient civilization, right? Indigenous people around the world. But yeah.